Okay, thank you very much. So, well, good afternoon, or good morning, or good evening. I'm talking from UK. Is 3 p.m. here. So, welcome everybody to this webinar on tourism and sustainable cities and communities. Today is going to be a very good moment of debate, an international debate with many different expertise and figures. Let me tell you first the create context of this debate. For this debate, we know that the World Tourism Organization talk about the contribution that tourism can give to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals until 2030. Now, one of these Sustainable Development Goals is exactly the sustainable cities and communities. So the creation of these sustainable spaces where sustainable communities live. What is the role of tourism? Tourism can advance urban infrastructure and accessibility, promote regeneration of, for example, old towns, and preserve cultural and natural heritage, tourism depends. Like when we think about tourism, normally we think about the uniqueness of the place, and we take care about this uniqueness, and this can help to achieve this objective, the creation of sustainable cities and communities. But we also have the investment in green infrastructure, more efficient transport, the reduction of air pollution. So all these, as we know, are also point of interest for tourism development. So this is where the link is established. Obviously, this is a complex architecture, and this is why today we will have we will listen to the opinion and the experience of various experts, as I was saying, because the main idea of this webinar is to approach in a complex way the idea of the tourism and the SDG 11. We will have, for example, Pablo Rosell from Spain talking exactly about the topic of the accessibility. We will have Ananta Krishnan, which is the Secretary General of Urban Economy Forum, right now from Havana. Mariam Ghiami from Iran, president of the Association of Women in Tourism. The idea of equality is also something that is extremely important for a community that we want to define as a sustainable. The same topic, even from an academic point of view, is going to be developed from the Professor Fasileh Advarkani from Canada. And another extremely important topic, an aspect, is going to be approached by Gianni Pitingolo from Italy, that will talk about the public participation. So the idea of involving the community into the management of the cities and the decision-making process. So I would start with Ananta, Secretary General of Urban Economy Forum, and I'm going to moderate. We are going to proceed this way. We have 8 to 10 minutes for each speaker, and then in the end of this first round, we are going to open for questions from the audience and the debate. my name, I forget. My name is Fabio Carbone. I am a lecturer of international tourism management at Coventry University, lecturer and researcher, and I am ambassador of the International Institute for Peace through tourism. So Ananta, the floor is yours for now. 8 to 10 minutes, and I will take the floor again. Thank you very much. Thanks to all the audience. Thanks to all the speakers.
Thank you, Fabio, for a wonderful morning or afternoon or evening. Buenas tardes. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this nice event. The Moroccan scholar and explorer who traveled extensively to Afro-Eurasia, Ibn Battuta, he once said, "Traveling, it leaves you speechless. Then it turns you into a storyteller." Here we are here to see what stories need to be told for sustainability and sustainable cities in the context of tourism. Cities are engines of growth. Many large cities, for example, in the US, have economies like national economies of many countries. Like New York City, it has the economy of Mexico, about $1.1 trillion. Atlanta's economy is as big as Malaysia. Chicago's economy is as big as Sweden. So cities, in a way, they are contrasting each other. You know, at the same time, they are big powerhouses of economy globally. The cities and metropolitan areas are powerhouses of economic growth, contributing about 60% of global GDP, that is gross domestic product. However, they also contribute for 60% of resource use, not sustainably always. When it comes to power, when it comes to use of water, sanitation, etc. So rapid urbanization, as you know, in most of the part of the world, in developing world, it is resulting in growing number of slums, inadequate infrastructure, etc. So perhaps prior to discussing plans for urban development in the context of tourism and sustainability, it is important to focus also on what context is taking place. It is taking place in the context of urban economy. So it is the appropriate strategies that we need. There are two major international documents that are adopted. One is called, in 2015, it was called Sustainable Development Goals. As Fabio mentioned, there are 17 of them. The other one is the New Urban Agenda, which was adopted in Quito for Habitat 3 conference in 2016. So the SDGs, of which SDG 11 deals with sustainability of cities, is linked to the New Urban Agenda. And SDGs are connected, interlinked when it comes to empowerment of women, come to poverty eradication, health, etc. So it means we need to think of innovative ways of linking these sustainable development goals. That means innovation plays an integral role in promoting sustainable economic models. So Urban Economy Forum was formed in this context in collaboration with the United Nations Agency for Urban Development for cities called UN Habitat. And UN Habitat origin in the first Habitat meeting conference in Canada, and its headquarters is in Nairobi, Kenya. It's one of the UN organizations based in Kenya. The one is the UN Environment Program UNEP. So the UN Habitat has been working on sustainability of cities and providing housing for all, etc. So Urban Economy Forum was established in collaboration with the UN Habitat. Look at urban economies specifically, not just national economies. To work alongside with financial institutions and professional institutions, Urban Economy Forum is collaborating to identify development capacities of economies and opportunities. So that means we are creating, it's a non-governmental entity with government approval in Canada, with Canadian government support. It's a platform for financial professionals and researchers in urban sector to showcase the innovative financial and other tools that are available for other cities to follow. That means to do that, we organize one annual global conference. It is called the Urban Economy Forum Conference that is organized every year in October in connection with the World Habitat Day to explore the challenges, opportunities, capacities, and approaches for urban development goals. So the vision of Urban Economy Forum is to create sustainable urban economy at the local level. So you may remember, some of you may remember, think globally but act locally. That was the sign of the sustainability. So establish reliable, integrated relationship between financial institutions, community organizations, and development groups on the basis of promoting urban economies and municipal finance at the local level to create local sustainability. So that was why Urban Economy Forum was established, to embody an active economic entity to pave the way for the implementation of development. Shortly speaking, the goal is to create an interactive global network of city leaders, urban development organizations, financial institutes, academic, cultural heritage organizations. We also jointly work with the UNESCO on heritage organizations and promoting economic development in heritage cities, inclusive of urban activists to learn and exchange best practices on urban economy and sustainable resources. So we facilitate the use of urban knowledge and big data. Another work we do is to collect data, analyze them, and make it available to anyone that would need. So to promote new urban agenda and sustainable development goals are the main activities of Urban Economy Forum. So in short, also we try to, since we're based in Canada, we are advocating Toronto as a global hub for urban economy and sustainable resources discourse in Canada to make Canada as a pioneer urban sustainable development goals. Canada is also a land of many First Nation communities. So we're looking into the role of First Nations in building sustainability in their settlements and cities. So we work with city officials, with women's groups, arts and culture are an important part of it. So third Urban Economy Forum will be held on 4th and 5th of October this year. I invite you all to participate, to showcase several good practices for effective, scalable solutions, especially at this point in time in history when many cities are impacted by COVID-19, which are suffering in many ways, not the least when it comes to promotion of economic development and tourism. So we're looking into urban economy and global pandemic, how housing can be looked in this context, and we also try to promote innovation, governance in the urban economy. Another conference we'll be organizing on 6th and 7th of June, on October this year would be a conference on habitat in towns. It's not important to talk only about big cities and metropolises, because the world consists of many hundreds of towns and small cities. That is where all the development takes place. Many of the attractions of history and tourism are also based in these small towns. So we are all trying to gather together habitat in towns as an international gathering. Then the third important aspect of Urban Economy Forum is to establish what is called as the Regent Park World Urban Pavilion. It's a global pavilion with the support of UN Habitat and Government of Canada to promote a hub for innovative urban-based solutions. It will be a global hub, virtually and physically, to benefit sustainable urban tourism. Also, is one of the things. So often, cities are hubs for other areas so that we can make sustainability possible. So compared with many rural areas, public transportation, for example, is easier and more plentiful. Urban tourists are also contributing to the local economy, whereas establishment is also important in trying to see how sustainability at local level can be established. So we invite you to showcase the examples of cities and practices and researchers in sustainable tourism at the World Urban Pavilion, which is a virtual pavilion as a physical pavilion in Canada. Overall, and economic changes have led to a creative turn in the urban economy, creating a shift from manufacturing towards services and knowledge related to creative industry production. The tourism has been a popular agenda in urban policy for a long time as a sector that was comparatively easy to promote with little investment and necessary part of reshaping urban spaces. It has also been blamed for not respecting the local specificities, like, for example, how Barcelona or Naples or Venice are now preventing or opposing much of tourism coming into the cities as well, something that we need to look into. So research indicates four prominent factors for building resilience in the industry as Urban Economy Forum looks at it. What we need is government response, technology innovation, and importantly, local belongingness and consumer confidence, employee confidence. We argue that using such inclusive order characterized by sustainable tourism, social well-being, climate action, and involving local communities, we can link sustainable tourism with urban economic development. If there is no food on the table, irrespective of what you say, it won't be interesting for the communities to be surviving there. So, but this must happen in the context of sustainable urban economy and finance. Urban Economy Forum invites you all to be part of this joint action that can offer directions for future suitable solutions in this area. Tourism has the potential to promote faster, sustainable, and more inclusive growth, if managed well, that is. In the context of sustainability and SDGs, it can be used as a powerful antidote to tackle poverty and circular economy. We are at a historic moment where this change can happen and tourism can contribute sustainably in this change of thought and change of direction in the economic and social development and thought process. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks a lot, and a lot of points you touched, and I got to know your work, so I knew it was the best possible way to start this webinar, to let you talk, because somehow you embrace all the aspects that we need to talk to define the roadmap in order to really create sustainable cities and communities. The idea of the circular economy, the idea of the reduction of poverty, and the idea that this is an historical moment in terms of this almost, not yet, but almost post-pandemic. Like, what are we going to do? So it's the moment to think about what is going to be tourism, but not only tourism, but the development of the city. And this is important. And it's important to think at local level, as you mentioned many times, to put in practice what we say at global level instead. Now, going more in a more narrow way, I would like to leave the space now to Fasileh, Professor Fasileh Dadvar, that will enter more in detail with the issue of the gender analysis on tourism and women empowerment via tourism. Thank you very much, Fasileh, to be here with us. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Fabio, and hello, everyone.
Sorry. Obviously, Reza remember me something. It's very good to know we have almost 100 people. Well, with us is more than 100 people following this following this online. So I'm very happy personally, and I share this with you. Is already a good success, a good debate. So thank you very much.
Okay, wonderful. Fabio, can I share my screen?
Absolutely, yes.
Can you see now?
Yes, perfect,
okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Again, thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my research finding on gender analysis and rural women's empowerment through tourism. First, a short introduction about Iran. The Islamic Republic of Iran has more than 80 million population, which 26% are living in rural areas. The rural problems are manifested in different economic, social, and cultural aspects. On the other hand, new forces are bringing new opportunity to the rural areas. For example, improvements in transportation and communication technology lead to the increasing communication within civil society and facilitate the access to knowledge and other resources. The social structure of rural life is therefore changing dramatically. Changes to the socio-economic structure directly affect the life of women and men and their relationship in rural areas. Tourism has a different effect on economy, on social, cultural, and environmental aspects. About the gender and tourism, all we know that we are living in a gender society. All tourism-related processes are made in the gender societies. For example, the research shows women and men have a distinct role in tourism since women are more active in retail trade and men are more managerial works. It means tourism development is more likely to be gender biased, and gender identities are an important component of the type of tourism take place. Gender tourism affects on gender relations, gender role, gender identity, and gender power, which I'm not going to go in detail because of the limitation of the time. Duflo defines gender empowerment as a concept improving the ability of women to access the components of development, in particular health, education, earning opportunities, rights, and political participation. From the World Bank view, economic empowerment of women is about making markets work for women at the policy level and empowering women to compete in markets at the agency level. Naila Kabir emphasizes that empowerment is a process that leads toward a state in which women are more powerful. Generally, tourism could assist women to increase power and control over natural resources, economic empowerment, educational empowerment, and political empowerment are the most important concepts. To better understand the relationship between tourism and women's empowerment, I would like to introduce the theory of Sarah Lange that drives women's empowerment framework. She described 5 levels of empowerment that includes welfare, awareness, participation, access, and control over the life. I use this framework to examine the effect of tourism on women empowerment in my research and figure out how tourism can affect on these 5 characteristics among women in the studied area. My research has taken place in 2 different villages in west of Iran, Kandawan as a tourist destination and Iskandan as a non-tourist village. These villages with the almost same geographical and demographical characteristics have different features in tourist attractions. A fine network of roads and railroad connect these areas to other parts of Iran and also to neighboring countries. My aim was to find the relationship between tourism development process and women's empowerment in these 2 selected villages. A short description about the tourist site. Kandawan village is one of the ancient and attractive village, which my Iranian colleagues, they know this very well. It is in Azerbaijan province in the foothills of Mountain Sahand in the west of Iran. This village is not only famous for its scenic beauty, but also its uniqueness that related to the homes have been made in cave located in cone-shaped rock formation inside volcanic rocks. This man-made cliff dwellings are still inhabited. So my research has established on the following question: is there any differences in women's empowerment levels between these two villages? How Saralange framework can define women's empowerment in these rural areas? The data have been collected by fieldwork, including questionnaire and interview. There were 301 women above age 15 in Kandovan, and Skandon village had 402 women above 15 years old. 3% of population has been selected as a sample. My research finding, as I said, it's established based on the Saralange framework. First, welfare. The research shows that tourism has increased the standard of the life in the tourist destination by generating extra income for families and creating new job opportunity for women in a wide range of occupation, from unskilled to professional jobs. Because of the variation of the nature of jobs in tourism, women are able to combine their housework with their work in tourism market. So Kandovan village has the higher percentage of women's employment in industry and services. At the same time, in process of tourist development, many infrastructures, particularly in communication and transportation, has been improved, and therefore it led to economic growth and social development. So women have benefited from the advantages of tourism in increasing their quality of life. In other words, women welfare accompanied with better standard of life for families and community members, particularly for children. This diagram shows the employment rate and in unemployment rate in these two villages. It shows that the rural destination, tourism destination village has more employment rate. And second is awareness. The research indicates that in tourist villages, women are more aware of their situation and the gender inequality in their society. It happened due to their communication and interaction with different people as tourists. Indeed, it has facilitated women's access to the knowledge and information. It also encouraged women to use technologies and tools for improving their work in the tourist labor market. As a result, women have been encouraged to involve more in higher education and participate in any kind of learning programs which can facilitate their access to information and knowledge. It has affected on self-confidence of women positively, giving them more power to contribute in decision-making process in their family and community. At the same time, women were more aware about different opportunities that tourism brings for them. This diagram shows the awareness of women that in the village, tourist village destination in Kandovan, all the these factors shows higher rate. Tourism activities has been highly linked with economic and social participation as well. It shows the women's presence in the workforce, not only for lowering the levels of poverty among women, but also an important step toward increasing the household income and enhancing the economic development in the community. It also has provided the better opportunity for women's participation in the workforce. The research shows that 90% of women in the sample population of Kandovan village are involved in tourism. Also, they make up better between the 10 to 15% of labor force in retail sector. Due to the profitable nature of tourism, many of this economic participation in these activities is mainly turned to a family business. My research shows that in most activities, men have higher contribution, except in handicraft, that women are more involved. Tourism in Kandowan village has affected on increasing women access to different resources that led to the capacity building for women, which is a key factor in the process of their empowerment. Also, in tourist destination village, women have had more access to development resources and development benefits, such as education, information, finance, networks, power, and etc. The last stage of the Saralanga theory is control over their life. In this research, I considered entrepreneurship characteristic as an indicator for the ability of women to have control over their life. Each of these indicators includes a vast range of behaviors that here is shown under 4 characteristics. The outcome of research shows there are significant differences among females in these 2 villages. And finally, as a conclusion, tourism sector provides the various entry points for women employment and opportunity for creating self-employment in a small and medium-sized income generating activities. So it positively has affected on female economic empowerment, but it has failed to decrease gender inequality in rural areas. Therefore, we can consider tourism as a tool for economic empowerment of women's situation, but not for decreasing the gender gap. Tourism development in the rural area contributed in reducing the patriarchy and challenging the masculinity hegemony. And it provides a better space for women activities, but it alone cannot be led to removing the gender inequality in rural communities, as more professional, high-paid, and stable job has been occupied by men. As a result, to avoid widening gender gap, a gender-sensitive planning is needed. Creating a platform for supporting women can improve their status and bring about gender equality. Changing the masculinity sphere needs a cultural effort, which is long-term and needs the engagement of all tourist stakeholders. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks a lot, Fazile. It's extremely interesting when we talk about the contribution of tourism to anything related to sustainability. In my case, it's tourism and peace, for example. In your case, tourism and gender equality. Many times we assume that this is an easy task, and on the contrary, it's also good to share this idea that it's actually not easy, and there are processes to reach this objective. And it's good to see how many criteria, then also from the scientific point of view, we need to use to understand if tourism is actually contributing or not, in this case, to gender equality and to the empowerment. Just one thing, we are going to talk about empowerment and entrepreneurship for women once again with Maria later. But now, thank you very much again, Fazile, to share with us your knowledge and your amazing work. But right now, it's the time to go to Italy, and I would like to ask to Gianni. Gianni Pitingolo is the president of the association Ioresto. He's a lawyer, but he's a founder member of and president of the association Ioresto, which focus mainly on promoting public participation in Crotone, in the city in Italy, which is a method which personally, and I'm sure you will agree with me, is a method that could be applied also in other places. So I'm extremely glad, also because Gianni is a friend, I'm extremely glad to leave the floor now to Gianni to show us the method and the results of their work. Thank you very much, Gianni.
Good morning, everyone. And first of all, I would like to thank the event organizers, all the prestigious speakers, my daughter Martina, my friend Cosimo, and in particular, a special thanks goes to you, Fabio. It is an honor for me to be here and represent the Association Ioresto, the city of Crotone and his territory, with my speech entitled The Future of the Verb to Stay, Tourism and Public Participation for Sustainable Cities and Communities. In recent years, sustainable development has been a highly discussed topic. It is a term which appears to be as fascinating as abstract. It is commonly defined as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. The cyclical letter, Laudato Si, has represented a real evolution of the concept of sustainable development. We are facing not with two separate crises, one environmental and the other social, but rather with one complex crisis, which is both social and environmental. Strategies for a solution demand an integrated approach to combating poverty, restoring dignity to the excluded, and at the same time protecting nature. Therefore, the main goal of development is freedom to be found not only in material wealth and economic development, but also through education and improvement of people's living conditions. With 2030 agenda, the UN lists a series of targets for economic, social, and environmental development. But as it often happens, there is a considerable difference between public proclamation on the one hand and the will and the daily life of the individuals on the other. A symptom of a structural gap because of which the public and the private sectors, as well as state and local authorities, are unable to lay the foundation for sustainable development due to bureaucratic reasons for short, medium-term lack of profit. The definition of this new agenda inevitably results in a new strategy for its realization. From such a perspective, sustainable development goals assign a key role to those associations, which are by the nature the closest to citizens and potentially the best fitted for speaking out the citizens' needs. It is in this context that the Ioresto Association is taking on an important role day after day, not only in Crotone. But what is Ioresto? What does the word stay mean? Ioresto was born in Crotone by the will of a group of friends, now traveling companions, driven by a common goal: give a voice to the people who decided to stay, build a bridge, create a dialogue with those who left in order to integrate and reconcile separate lives, in order to elicit a generational and a cultural exchange, and last but not least, to give new life to places collected in the project Diary of a Territory, places like stories to read. Those who stay are neither passive nor resigned. On the contrary, we carry out an act of will motivated by our need for change and renewal of our local community. We constantly supervise our territories and take care of them in a sort of rebirth, because the decision to stay today means to give a new meaning and a new life of our places. By staying, we cultivate our sense of belonging to our land, a sense which prompts us to make it beautiful. It is a dream started in September 2018, which started to take shape day after day and become reality on May 29, 2018. This date was not chosen at random to formalize the constitution of the association. As a matter of fact, On the 29th of May 1953, an extraordinary feat was performed. The highest peak in the world was climbed for the first time on the summit of Everest. So we urged one another to try and change the way of seeing things, to be positive and proactive. We named ourselves #Ioresto. Let's change the city in order not to move away from it. A dream which maybe was difficult but not impossible to realize, also thanks to Professor Vito Teti's vision. Vito Teti is a professor of cultural anthropology at the Faculty of Letters and Philosophy of the University of Calabria. His concept of restance and his book, Stones into Bread, our Bible, has guided and guides the way. He invented and developed with a new meaning the word restance, which is not to be meant as lazy and unaware stillness and resignation, but conversely as movement, tension, attention, fullness of being, choice and passion. Ideas must travel faster than man's legs. Discovery and novelty must be sought in the place where you live, which at times risks becoming farther, more alien and unrecognizable. The real change lies in attitudes and in an innovative way of being and operating. This is why the project, A School to Stay, was born. An itinerant school to bring villages back to life, preserve the landscape and the cultural heritage of small towns, introduce children to the ancient crafts and shops with the aim of transmitting the knowledge handed down by older generations from our territory, and above all, sharing it. A school accessible to anyone who wants to join it, without doors or windows, without report cards, certificates, or homework, where classroom and desks are replaced by learning places scattered in the fields, cellars and shops of our territory, and above all, a school that will never end. The project, among its objectives, has that of bringing ghost villages back to life, preserving the landscape and cultural heritage of the small town that suffer most of all the sad phenomenon of the population. Villages represent a great resource and a great opportunity. Small municipalities can be a place where innovative policies can be experimented from a civic, social, and economic point of view, where new relationships can be built with places and communities, where we can and must talk about the future. For sure, the future will still be made up of long walks and journeys. Identity and feeling, these are the ingredients that characterize the new form of slow tourism that Ioresto is working on, a form of tourism that allows travelers to live a deeper experience in which they discover something belonging to them, which is part of them, like the memory of the origins of their ancestors and of the land which saw them grow. We mean to retrace the history of our family, visit the places where our ancestors lived, relish past atmospheres, flavors, and scents that were part of past life. We mean to recognize in reality what our grandparents told us, embrace again, if possible, our dear ones. A new tourist trend which could represent an extraordinary opportunity. In line with the vision of Ioresto, it has embarked on the path of perhaps the most difficult journey, but certainly the most engaging and exciting, the one into people's heart. The premise is intending to be nothing more than a confirmation that any form of tourism and economy you mean to undertake will never be able to avoid investing in feelings. But the vision of Ioresto knows no boundaries, and day after day is working to broaden and widen its horizons in order to try and make its work universal, transformational, and inclusive. The approach adopted by Ioresto to put the human factor and the enhancement of places at the center of the development of the territory, the promotion of civic pride, a sense of belonging, and finally, the stimulus of an action towards sustainability in Crotone as a city to live in, which is a tourist destination, has been recognized by the UN as a particularly innovative approach, and since 2 November 2020, Ioresto has represented Crotone in the world and has been included in the world map of associations that work for sustainable tourism goal 11 SDG and make the city and the surrounding area inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. New friends have joined the world of Ioresto. Others have never abandoned it. During a Lectio Magistralis entitled Destination Crotone, Tourism and Internationalization, a winning combination, held at the Chamber of Commerce of Crotone by Professor Fabio Carbone from Crotone, Ioresto is cited as a virtuous example to look up to in order to have a cultural and generational change. It was precisely this completely fortuitous meeting that led the Ioresto Association to integrate already numerous programs aimed at enhancing the Calabrian cultural identity and start working on a new ambitious project meant to create a stable alliance between those who left and those who remain. This is in an attempt not only to provide an active testimony of the value that many of us display in other countries and of the reason that led some to leave Calabria together with the feelings they have towards it. Thinking globally and acting locally. So here's the value of Ioresto. Here's the future to stay, to remain not out of resignation, but as challenge, tenacity, and openness of the world, for those who have the courage to return, for those who are capable of creating future. Only in this way can Ioresto, I stay, become everyone's dream and turn on we stay, in order to finally be able to say together, we change, not to get away from it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Gianni Pitingolo. Gianni, thank you very much. It's for sure a big challenge for them, and Gianni and all the people at the association Ioresto, they know the admiration I have for them, because it's also Gianni was talking about the cultural change, social change. Well, it is important to also to remember that this kind of work is done in an environment that needs to be developed, and this work is the contribution to develop this environment. But at the moment, it can be also difficult to push and bring this opinion, this work at the attention of the public opinion, even at the local level. As I was saying in the beginning, I see this, and as I say there in the conference that Gianni was mentioning, I say that this to me is more than an association. This is the proposal of a methodology of work for sustainable cities and sustainable communities. Actually, I would like to propose to Ananta now in live the participation of this kind of subject to the gathering in October, because as I said, this is a kind of methodology that, as we saw, is quite broad. We talk about children, because we talk about cultural change, and all this is based on the bottom-up approach in a context that, well, obviously is even touching for me, but it's true, in a context that is not easy, where social issues, economical issues are quite strong there. And so once again, very good job, guys. With there in
Thank you so much, Fabio.
Sorry.
Thank you for your idea of joining us for the Urban Economy Forum with this project, with this idea. I think welcome you. Indeed, we can have a session on this. Absolutely.
Absolutely, I think it deserves for sure. Okay, thank you very much, Gianni. We are going to have the second part of our webinar dedicated to the debate. We can talk more about this. Now I would like to talk. We talked with Gianni about cultural heritage also. So I would like to invite Pablo at this time to talk again about cultural heritage in sustainable cities and communities, but from the point of view of the accessibility. Pablo is an academic, originally like me, an archaeologist, and he's a huge expert about this topic, the topic of the accessibility to cultural heritage. Just technical information. In this moment, we are 120 people following the webinar. So congratulations, is a very good, is a big success. Good to share with so many people the knowledge and the consideration about this topic. Pablo, now the floor is yours. I introduced you. Yo quiero saber si quieres que sea yo a traducir.
Bien, yo iré despacio y me vas traduciendo, sí.
Pues vale. Entonces que sí, tenemos menos tiempo, pero vale.
Bien, bueno, yo primero quiero daros las gracias por invitarme a esta webinar, a Fabio particularmente. Compartimos, como él ha dicho, bastantes proyectos y este es uno de ellos, ¿no? Bien, yo voy a hablaros de la accesibilidad, accessibility, en el turismo y en las ciudades. Y creo que puedo hablar de ello porque, bueno, tengo una serie de particularidades que me hacen persona idónea para poder hablar de estos temas. Soy gestor público que trabaja temas de patrimonio, soy arqueólogo, soy doctor en patrimonio histórico y arqueológico, soy miembro de la Asociación Española de Profesionales de la Accesibilidad y además soy discapacitado físico. Y parte de mi discapacidad se debe a un accidente precisamente en una excavación arqueológica. Por tanto, creo que tengo una visión profesional y una visión académica, pero también una visión como discapacitado. Fabio.
Okay, vale. Muchas gracias, Pablo. Well, okay. Obviously, thanking the speakers, the audience, the organization, and well, Pablo is introducing himself professionally, but not only, because yeah, Pablo is a manager in the public sector with relation to cultural heritage management. He's an academic and so professor and researcher, lecturer, researcher, and this expertise also, Pablo explained, comes from a personal condition that he has, due to an accident exactly on an archaeological excavation. At the moment, Pablo is on a wheelchair, so this is why he had this huge dedication to the topic of accessibility to cultural heritage and public space in general.
Bien, hablamos del turismo, hablamos de la sostenibilidad y hablamos de las ciudades. Para poder ir a usar los espacios, para acceder a los espacios, para valorar el patrimonio y que ese patrimonio se valorice por turistas y residentes, no hay más remedio que sea accesible.
So if we talk about sustainable cities, obviously to value the cultural heritage, to value the spaces, and to obviously we need to make them accessible to visitors and to residents.
Porque es una obviedad que somos 50 millones de personas con movilidad reducida. 50 millones. Y además, cualquiera de nosotros puede acabar siendo una persona con movilidad reducida a lo largo de su vida.
So basically, this could appear like obvious, but in the reality, it is an important issue because exists more than 50 million of people with reduced mobility. And when we think about reduced mobility, we don't have to think only about the wheelchairs or etc. But we have to think that at a certain point, even us, we can be part of this community of people with reduced mobility. For example, we saw before the pregnant woman at a certain point have a reduced mobility.
Y en ese sentido yo solamente hoy voy a traer 3 ideas sobre el concepto de accesibilidad, turismo, sostenibilidad y ciudad. 3 ideas muy rápidas. La primera es el concepto de libre movilidad. Ese concepto tanto comprende el uso autónomo de los medios de transporte por parte de los discapacitados, el uso autónomo, pero comprende otra parte muy importante, y es la capacidad que el discapacitado tiene para desplazarse de manera autónoma. Dicho de otra manera, la dignidad de las personas con discapacidad física. No necesitamos que nos ayuden.
Okay, so Pablo is going to present now 3 concepts. The first one is the free mobility. What free mobility is the idea of the autonomous use of transports and urban spaces. So, and this has to do a lot with the idea of dignity. Pablo is saying we don't want people to help us, we want to be autonomous.
Bien, establecido este concepto, pasamos al segundo, que es el concepto de cadena de accesibilidad. No accesibilidad, sino cadena de accesibilidad. Bien, en una ciudad, y para que sea sostenible y por tanto accesible, se debe cumplir todos los eslabones de una cadena de accesibilidad.
Okay, so basically after this first concept of the free mobility, then we have to keep in mind a second concept, that is the chain of accessibilities, which is not only one place that has to be accessible, but we have to keep in mind that exists a chain of accessibility.
Bien, y si trasladamos ese concepto de cadena de accesibilidad no solo a las ciudades, sino al patrimonio cultural de esas ciudades, ¿qué entendemos, por tanto, por cadena de accesibilidad respecto al patrimonio de las ciudades?
So what it means what we see if we transfer the concept of chain of accessibilities to the cultural heritage and the accessibility to cultural heritage?
Bien, pues cumplir básicamente con este esquema. El residente y el turista llegan, conocen, exploran, descansan, saborean, sudan y se van. Por tanto, la accesibilidad tiene que estar en cada una de estas actividades y servicios.
So here we have the model of the chain of accessibility for cultural heritage, for the accessibility to cultural heritage, which is based on the model is based on the activities, the main activities of a visitor, both resident or a tourist, which is arriving in a place, knowing the place, exploring the place, rest, eventually eat, get tired and go away.
Por tanto, tenemos que luchar, tenemos que conseguir que los servicios de información, transporte, alojamiento, restaurantes, recursos, agencias de turismo sean accesibles.
So based on this model and the behavior of the visitors, so what we need to make accessible? The service of information, transport, hospitality, restaurants, and all the resources, and even the agencies and the different places where the visitor goes.
Porque si eso no se produce una auténtica insatisfacción. Pero yo quiero destacar la insatisfacción no del discapacitado, sino la insatisfacción de la familia. Y de ahí que haya creado un coeficiente de insatisfacción familiar.
At this point, Pablo is introducing the third concept, which is a consequence of the first two. Pablo has created this idea of coefficient of familiar insatisfaction or dissatisfaction, which is related exactly to the accessibility, because Pablo said exists a form of frustration and dissatisfaction within the whole family, not only within the person that has a reduced mobility, when there are problems of accessibility.
Este sería el coeficiente. Multiplicamos el porcentaje de ilusión que tiene la familia por el número de sus miembros y lo dividimos por el porcentaje de fracaso que la familia siente cuando no puede acceder a servicios, equipamientos, bienes culturales, y por tanto esto crea un coeficiente que retrae a gran cantidad de familias, de turistas, de residentes para usar las ciudades sostenibles.
So this coefficient is actually a coefficient that Pablo studied in mathematical terms, and this coefficient of familiar disappointment or is based on what? The percentage of disappointment times the number of people in the family on the divided by or on the percentage of perception of failure as a family. So all this, so the disappointment times the number of people in the family, number of members in the family, on the perception of and the feeling of failure that at a certain point we feel not to be able to enter to a public space.
Quise crear este coeficiente y difundirlo a lo largo de congresos, seminarios, para que la gente se acuerde de las familias de los discapacitados, no solo del discapacitado.
So basically, this kind of coefficient should actually be shared at worldwide, at global level. But first of all, because we should always remember how the lack of accessibility actually hit not only one person, but all their families, etc.
Y en ese sentido, las redes sociales actuales, a través de Internet, son un arma muy potente para estas familias, para los discapacitados y sus familiares, que se convierten en prosumers, se convierten en turistas activos, socialmente activos, denunciando, valorizando, premiando o castigando aquellos equipamientos, aquellos servicios, aquellos elementos patrimoniales que no cumplen la accesibilidad y, por tanto, no hacen que las ciudades sean sostenibles.
So one of the strategies could eventually be that of inviting visitors to be proactive and observing and eventually complain against those places, even if they're not personally, they don't have a reduced mobility, but be more attentive, be more proactive, and complain when a place is not accessible for everyone, or on the other side, acknowledge the fact that that place is actually accessible for everyone. This is one of the ways, can be a simple way to go towards more sustainable cities.
Por tanto, hay que ponerse en una posición muy proactiva, muy positiva. No problem, solution. No problem, solution. Y en ese sentido he traído algunas fotografías de ejemplos de patrimonio cultural inaccesible, y lo que hay que hacer es buscar la solución de accesibilidad. Permite que toda la familia esté viendo el museo, no solamente una parte de la familia, no solamente una parte de los ciudadanos. El patrimonio es universal, la sostenibilidad es universal.
So the proposal is being proactive. Is already one of the solutions. Can be at least one of the solution. And always remember that sustainability, as well as cultural heritage, is universal. But in order to be universal, it has to be actually accessible to everyone.
Y en ese sentido termino con una reflexión de Álvaro Aalto, que dice que el objetivo del creador de entornos es hacer la vida más humana, no hacerla más bonita, es hacerla más humana. Y por tanto, la accesibilidad tiene que estar dentro del concepto de sostenibilidad.
Well, yeah, the final consideration is exactly this citation of Álvaro Aalto that say the objective of the creator of content is making the life more human, not more beauty. So more human, and in this case, eventually accessible.
Y para terminar, deciros, yo estoy ahora, veis detrás de mí, estoy debajo, a 4 metros de profundidad, en un refugio antiaéreo de la Guerra Civil Española, que es accesible. El que esté subterráneo no significa que no pueda ser accesible.
So, in this moment, Pablo is in a cultural heritage place. Is a shelter 4 meters under the floor, which is a museum and is from the civil war in Spain. Is accessible to everyone. In fact, he's there for this event.
Por tanto, es posible. Muchas gracias.
So this is possible. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Pablo. It's always a pleasure to work with you and to hear your experience and the work you are doing. Muchas gracias, Pablo.
Nada.
Muchas gracias. Siempre muy bueno contigo, ¿no? Muy bien. And finally, to recover also the conversation we were having in the beginning with Facile, I want to bring today a person which is actually a role model, I think. A role model exactly in what is Facile was mentioning in the context of women empowerment through tourism for sustainable cities and communities, was mentioning the entrepreneurship. So now, to close in a wonderful way this first part of the seminar, I would like to call Maria Ghiami, which is going to talk to us about tourism and gender equality for sustainable cities and communities. And she's the president of the Association of Women in Tourism there in Iran. So really a role model for all the women who are entrepreneurs, in particular in tourism, and not only a role model, but an example of the fact that the empowerment is possible everywhere. So, Maria, I'm not going to take more time from you. The floor is yours. Thank you very much for being with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Dear Fabio, can share my screen? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Share screen. Okay.
Okay. Perfect. Yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Before my presentation, I shall give a warm regards to Dr. Fabio to provide me the opportunity to have the chance to be with you today. And today we talk about what has made the cities and communities unsustainable. Okay, okay. Sustainable cities and development goals are the roadmap to achieving a better future for all. These goals respond to the global challenge we face. The goals, as you know, 17 subjects, which some of them are poverty, okay, inequality, climate change, environmental and peace and accessibility, etc. Today, the subject is one of the 70 subtitles, which is stand number 11, and it is about sustainable cities and communities. What has happened in cities and communities in Middle East and North Africa, MENA region, is uneven spatial development. I would like to concentrate on this subject more than other subjects. This subject and field actually is reviewing the causes that make a city uncomfortable for the communities. This shows us that the designer and planner and developers of city did not have enough knowledge make the city comfortable for the communities and make the citizen feel happy and satisfied in their life. Although this is an expert knowledge, but the subjects are very easy to understand because everybody deals with it every day. There are many parameters in this matter. So our main topic of this speech is about uneven spatial development in cities and communities, which causes unsustainable cities and communities. And I have made a research that how we can measure this subject, this chart. This is the result, spatial inequality dimension in theory topic, accessibility, quality on environment, socio-economic conditions. First one and the most important topic is accessibility, and it has two subdivisions, which is spatial accessibility and composite accessibility. Another topic, the second topic is quality of environment, which has two subdivisions, environmental indicators and another new environment. And third topic, socioeconomic condition, which has two subdivisions, socioeconomic indicator and housing price. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I will only talk about accessibility. This is, providing access for everybody to transfer from one place to another place, safely, cheap way, and short time. Generally, the subject is proper facilities for public transportation that has three characteristics: cheap and affordable accessibility for all age and all gender and disabled people, and a short time. Gender and disabled people in a short time composite accessibility is when for example, you come in an airport, you have to have chance to have access to bus station, metro, taxi, and train. So what will make a city sustainable? A great role of that is how to provide composite accessibility for all. Tourism atmosphere can help people develop their city in a sustainable way. And now talk about women. Women voice matter in this subject. There are 53 countries in MENA region that mostly are Muslims with different culture and many parameters in this region that makes a small role of women in this country. Fortunately, the percentage of educated women are increased rapidly in these years, and they want enough job. They want enough job and opportunity equal to me, like gender equality. For example, my country, Iran, has the highest rate of women in university in the world, 62%. So the challenges are becoming opportunity and actually makes gender equality. So we are so optimistic that with the effort of women and voice of women, we will rise with uneven development and grow sustainable, even developed cities and communities. For example, Dr. Anusha Ansari, this is the first Iranian woman in space, or Dr. Minu Mohraz is the leading scientist for Iranian nation to fight against COVID-19. Or for example, Kimia Alizadeh, the champion of Olympic in Taekwondo and many other champions, make us be so optimistic for future. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time and the opportunity that you gave me to be with you today.
Thanks a lot, Maria. It's good to finish with this presentation that actually go and touch a bit more of more than one aspect. So the accessibility, like the gender equality, and in the end, a good touch of nationalism related to the role of women. Also in your country, which is good because it goes against many stereotypes related to women in Middle East. So it's always welcome to know the story against the only story that become a stereotype. Thank you for giving us this perspective. Right now, I would like to open the debate. So we finish our speech, and so I would like to have a 20 minutes to half an hour of debate. So I would like to ask to the speakers, but also to the audience, if there is any any question or consideration about what we talk about today, which was quite a lot actually, because we passed through the general approach of the forum, to the public participation, the gender equality, and the accessibility, and finally this important contribution also from Maria Ghiami from Iran. So I don't know if someone want to eventually explore more in depth any of this aspect. I personally have many questions to many of you, but I would like to leave the opportunity to the speaker, to the audience, to make question. I also want to go and see if
can I ask? It's not a question. Yeah, just I want to thank you, Pablo, for his very great speech about the accessibility. I think the accessibility is not something just related to tourism. It's related to urban planners. So I think it's a good idea for urban planners to look at the accessibility as an economic aspect. If they want to make money, if they want to attract more tourism, so they need to make their city accessible for everyone. And I think it's a very good point of view to look at the accessibility, not just from the social view of point, but from the economic aspect.
Pablo.
Sí, totalmente. Muchas gracias por tu intervención, Facilet. Efectivamente, la concienciación sobre la accesibilidad puede influir muy positivamente en el desarrollo económico, en la medida en que, como he dicho, el discapacitado no va solo normalmente, sino que lleva a la familia detrás. Si él no va, no va la familia. En ese sentido, creo que la economía es un factor muy importante de concienciación para aspectos relativos a la accesibilidad, pero también, y aprovecho para felicitarte, Facilet, por tu intervención sobre la relación de la mujer, género y turismo. La economía al final nos va a servir a todos, a accesibilidad, a mujeres, para que consigamos un mayor desarrollo y una mayor concienciación seguro.
Ok, yo lo voy a traducir para Facilet y para todos los otros, ¿vale? So, well, yeah, probably it's saying that absolutely the economy is one of the ways actually we can raise awareness about the topic of the accessibility. Why? Because as you were saying, the idea is that it's not only the person that goes and can or cannot enter into the place, but it's the whole family. We talk about the satisfaction and the quality of life of the whole family, and yeah, and then he.
La vinculación de la mujer y el desarrollo.
And then he congratulates you, Facilet, for the also for the fact that this link between woman empowerment and development and tourism, it is also a very important topic within the idea of sustainable development in general. Ananta?
Thank you. I just again wanted to sort of congratulate you once more for this event. And the speakers have been so inspiring. You know, it's a lot of thoughts sort of go into my mind to see, how do we follow this up indeed, yeah? So I think it's important that these presenters would have the opportunity to eventually come back to the Urban Economy Forum in October and we could have a session on this in more detail, especially the question of accessibility again, because now in COVID-19, accessibility has taken a different turn. That means, you can stay and work from home. So that means you reduce your time traveling, going around, the kind of things. So does this also affect how visits and tourism sector is affected? At the same time, people are sort of watching, the computers and televisions and enjoying the touristic attractions virtually. So the virtual reality has got a new dimension. Would this mean the focus on accessibility get reduced attention now on, is a danger that people will say, well, now everybody can stay from home and work or just enjoy things, by their internet and sort of look at things differently. So it's important that we do not allow a kind of a regression or a setback in the quest for accessibility for tourists and local residents. That's one thing. The other question that I had was Gianni's presentation. He mentioned about sustainability, and this the example of school to stay is I think is quite important. This again puts the question: what is a good school? Does it mean you need to have air conditioning? You need to have the proper chairs and tables? Or, for example, schools in developing countries, still they can teach children, still knowledge can be imparted with whatever means available. So this kind of exchangeability of this model, school to stay, can it be replicated elsewhere? Is something that just would like to know, because ultimately, to end my thing, if tourism is accepted as an economic activity, what it means, it's a capitalist endeavor, yeah? It's about making profit. So is there any way to, sort of secure sustainability in this endeavor? One of the things I'm thinking for is promoting what is known as destination capitals. Like Rome is a destination capital for, historic sites and kind of things. Then Bangalore is a destination capital for IT industry, for example. Or Dubai is a destination capital for shopping. So can one devise sustainability based on how people come to the cities as specific destination capitals? This is something that's something I see that in Egypt, they are putting new measures as to how tourists can sort of have access to pyramids and these kind of things in museums. Yeah. So that is to end. I also want to sort of would like to know from Gianni's presentation that, of course, the MENA region, we don't hear much about the accessibility of gender accessibility, And so, because if we promote changes from outside, it won't happen. So are there continuous struggles within the groups that feel that they need more accessibility that is being organized and that is getting results? Thank you.
Fabio, io sì.
Infatti adesso sarà
complicato.
a question very interesting. So we have namely Maria and Gianni involved, and Gianni, if you want to start, sorry, or we let start Maria first. Prima le donne.
No, Maria.
Maria, please. You can answer the question of Ananta, and
what happened?
Yeah.
I'm working on that. Please, Jana.
Sorry, Maria. Can I ask you to stop to share your screen, because we still see your presentation.
I will do that now.
Thank you, Reza. So yeah, okay, sorry. So the question was quite interesting about the accessibility based on gender.
Maria?
Yes. I'm working on that, and for uneven accessibility. He asked me about accessibility. Yeah.
Yeah, the accessibility
Yes,
based on
yes, yes.
gender. Based on gender, yes. I don't know, Ananta, if you want to give more
So
detail.
what I was saying, Miriam, is that very simple, because people from outside always say that there's less accessibility for one gender in MENA countries. At the same time, your presentation says that there are interesting examples. So I'm saying, if you force change from outside, it doesn't happen. So are there initiatives and struggles that people like you are leading that is giving results? Or are you dependent on the goodwill from the authorities? ¿Comprendes?
Yeah, no, I don't know if he's still with us. In Iran, there are some issues with internet.
Microphone.
But because we have here Fazile, I think that this could be an amazing question also for Fazile to
Yes.
I have my own. I used to go to Middle East quite often, and I have my own opinion. But I would like Maria, you are here again. So I think that.
Yes. Excuse me, I have not net. Okay. Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Please, Gianna, answer this question. I don't know yet. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mario. I will take this question. As you know, the cultural aspect is more dominated in many countries, and there are limitations in access to for accessibility on the basis of gender. But the complicated issue with tourism is that there are not any distinct data specified gender. For example, we don't have exact data on the tourist activities based on gender. So we can't say exactly how is the accessibility, but from the cultural point of view, we can say that there are some limitation in movement of women. For example, in some places, women cannot go alone, or they cannot go in for example, midnight, they cannot go outside. And there are some, for example, stereotypes about, for example, women who exiting from their home in the midnight. So there is the research shows that when in the MENA countries, in some of MENA countries, they established some, for example, chairs or some patio in the walk side or in the pedestrian space, like the model we have in European countries and in American countries. It's very common. When they establish some patio beside the restaurant or coffee shops, women could not use that space to sit and have dialogue until even I heard that women cannot walk easily from that direction. They need to change their direction to another side of the street because mostly that space was occupied by men. So we need, as I said, we need a gender sensitive planning to consider how, when we plan for some project, we should know how women and men can have the same access and equal access to that facility. This is very brief description about the question that Krishnan asked, and I hope you get your answer, Krishnan.
Thank you. Yes,
If I can add something before giving the word to Pablo. I think that in any case, Ananda, to help to answer your question, I think that the example of Maria in itself, as I said in the beginning, she's president of the Association of Women in Tourism. So she herself an entrepreneur. I think that these already answer your question somehow, in the sense that exist in those regions, that region, also an impulse that is from the bottom and doesn't come necessarily from the authorities for the access of women to tourism, also as entrepreneurs. Pablo?
Sí, no, a ver, en el tema de la accesibilidad hay que ser muy realista. Es cierto que no todo puede ser accesible, ni en todos sitios se puede hacer la accesibilidad. Lo importante en este caso es ser veraz, que la información sea cierta. Si un sitio no es accesible, hay que decirlo. Hay que decirlo. El discapacitado y su familia necesitan saberlo antes de ir. Y segundo, si no se puede hacer accesible, hay herramientas en las nuevas tecnologías que pueden hacer accesible, por ejemplo, esos pueblos tan preciosos que ha puesto Farice, casas cueva. Hay técnicas de realidad virtual que pueden hacer que personas con discapacidad puedan acceder. Por tanto, veracidad en la información y uso de herramientas con las nuevas tecnologías.
So yeah, so basically, Pablo, coming back to the topic of the physical accessibility to the place and the public space, and particularly cultural heritage space, saying that we also need to be realistic, and not all the spaces can become accessible to people with reduced mobility. But important is always thinking about these people, at least provide the information that that place is not accessible in certain conditions. And at the same time, also another thing, Pablo is remembering the fact that we have the new technologies that give us the opportunity to provide a kind of alternative access to the people. And he was referring to the spaces that Maria show in her presentation, saying that there exist virtual realities or other solutions to make accessible even those places that are so difficult to make accessible in the reality.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Maria?
Sí, yes.
Yes. Women who travel abroad, they must have the official permission of their husbands in Iran. Okay? Yes.
What? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. I know it. Yeah, obviously we are talking about a region which has social and cultural characteristic that we also have to take in consideration. And now I will pass to the second question of Ananta, which is related to something that I also was very interested about, this school of remaining, which is again an amazing idea, an amazing intuition, because involved children, because I would add to what Ananta said, in the same concept of school for remaining, there is the idea of the long term. Because when we think about the school, we think about the next generations, educating the next generations. And let me express just a few ideas that I want to attach to the consideration of Ananta, which is it's quite interesting how in a world where the liquid society, what Bauman called of liquid society, without values, strong values. Here, apparently, we are talking and we are connecting again kind of values and even philosophy to the real world. Okay? When we talk about school of remaining, when we talk about sustainability, somehow here we are linking again deep values, I would say philosophy, and the real world, and we are being able to do this. So I completely agree with the consideration of Anant about this that I call the method, the method of Ioresto and the school of remaining. And so I would like to hear also the president about this. So talk us a bit more about this school.
No, io vorrei solamente ringraziare tutti e dovrei chiedere un aiuto nella traduzione adesso a Fabio, perché il mio inglese per l'intervento di oggi è stato costruito, insomma, grazie all'apporto di mia figlia. Quindi per partecipare, per rendere accessibili a tutti le mie parole, ho chiesto a mia figlia di aiutarmi nel relazionare, nel redigere, insomma, nel tradurre quello che avevo predisposto per oggi. E Fabio, non so se...
Sì, no, non ti preoccupare. Quello che dicevamo era che la vostra esperienza come...
No, sì, ho capito quello che è stato detto, non so se volevi tradurre quello che stavo dicendo.
Sì, no problem. No, Gian is going to speak Italian in order to be more practical and easy for him. I'm going to translate. No problem.
Volevo sottolineare il ruolo dell'associazionismo in questo processo di sviluppo che si sta portando avanti, così come è stato sottolineato da tutti gli interlocutori di oggi, da tutti gli oratori di oggi. In questo momento forse le associazioni sono quelle che sono più vicine alle esigenze della cittadinanza. Molte volte le istituzioni non riescono a percepire quali sono effettivamente le reali esigenze dei cittadini.
Okay, so basically talking about this, the experience of Ioresto, is important to mention the importance of the association in itself, or the associations in a place, because in this moment, in particular, in a specific context and environment, eventually the authorities and who is managing the city doesn't have the perception or the complete perception of what is happening, while the association, which are made by citizens, can give a big help to contribute for the development.
Dare voce alle persone, riscoprire i luoghi, riportarli a nuova vita, quello di fare in modo che i ragazzi vivano quelle che sono i vecchi mestieri e quelli che sono le storie che ormai sono dimenticate, il percorso che giorno dopo giorno, con difficoltà, perché le associazioni si autofinanziano, portano avanti ogni giorno, però è un percorso ricco di soddisfazioni perché punta addirittura al cuore delle persone.
So back to this idea of school, exactly the association feel this kind of need that is within the education. We need to add and embed this idea of going back to the old traditions, the local traditions. So what they did with the idea of the school for remaining is exactly to involve the young generation, the children. And one of the things is exactly sharing these old values in order to develop and boost also the feeling of belonging to the place.
Bene, grazie Fabio, grazie a tutti.
Va bene. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to add to this, to link even more to the idea of tourism, that from a point of view, this is going to empower, culturally speaking, the local population. So but from the point of view of tourism, we also have to remember that before the pandemic, before the lockdown, one of the main topics in tourism was the over-tourism. So probably one of the trends will be discovering new places. The slow tourism that Gianni was mentioning, for example, okay, new forms of tourism, more peaceful forms of tourism. And I think that, so the work that the Association Ioresto is doing is twofold. On the one side, they can achieve the cultural awareness and boost the cultural awareness of local population. But on the other side, they're also preparing a destination for this alternative tourism of that luckily we are going to see in the future. Gianni, quello che sto dicendo è il lavoro vostro che fate, va bene? Ok. Pablo, bueno, estamos hablando del patrimonio cultural y de los valores más antiguos y de la importancia de las asociaciones dentro del desarrollo de este tipo de metodología. Envolver los niños, los jóvenes en esas cosas, que son cosas que tal vez los que gerencian el pueblo no se acuerdan de hacer, simplemente. Entonces, la importancia de las asociaciones, y cuando lo llevamos eso para el tema del turismo, y cómo probablemente el nuevo turismo va a ser un turismo que desea más lugares como eso, pequeños, con no muchas personas. Entonces, el trabajo de esta asociación se puede decir que es duplo. Por un lado, va a crear este empowerment de las personas locales, pero del otro, está preparando un destino que es sustentable y que un de los nuevos destinos de mañana.
Sí, sí, lo que iba a decir efectivamente es eso, es que me parece muy interesante el proyecto. Creo que concienciar a los jóvenes, a los niños de su propia historia local es tan importante como concienciar al que viene de la integración de ese espacio local en un espacio universal. Las dos partes creo que se concilian muy bien. Y en ese sentido, el concepto de hospitalidad, hospitality, es fundamental para que el turismo sea sostenible, pacífico y solidario.
Absolutamente, sí, sí. Además, yo creo que, Pablo is saying that this specific aspect is extremely important for a real sustainable destination, in the sense that creating this, so through the cultural awareness, we make the cultural heritage a universal value, because all the people are really involved in the knowledge and the use of cultural heritage. In particular, when we talk about old tradition and all these things. I would like to add to this that Pablo mentioned something extremely important, which is the real sustainability is also related to this, the knowledge and the awareness of people that are the local people. And my work goes a lot in this direction. When I recover and I apply to tourism the idea of paideia, this is again is a philosophical idea of paideia, which mention this basic concept, which is we cannot stay with the other if we don't know ourselves. So I apply this to tourism development and the creation of cities. Okay, so who mentioned this was Socrates in the beginning of democracy, when the cities were creating. No, so more than 2,000 years ago. So it's extremely important. to know ourselves before thinking about visitors and tourists. So in this sense, I think that this is extremely, the public participation, and then this specific aspect, getting to know our own city first, and then giving the city to the, or proposing the city as a tourist destination, is actually a sustainable approach. Non so se devo tradurre quello che ho detto. No? Tú, Pablo, tú conoces mi trabajo sobre el Paideia, ¿sí? Porque yo estoy completamente de acuerdo contigo, es la llave para, ¿no? Conocernos lo propio para estar con los otros, es claro, es claro.
Perfecto, entiendo el inglés, perfecto.
Vale. So I don't know if there is probably a last question or comment. From any of you. I would like to remember that until now we continue to be around 150 participants to this, and I really would like to thank you all very, very much for being here. And I also think that we create here today not only an interesting and useful debate for the future, just to show how complex it is to really create sustainable cities and communities. It's not just one approach, but integrated approaches. And but I think that what I really like is that I think that today we create also new synergies for the future, and I'm sure that in the future I will see again some of you working together, luckily with me also or not. But the important thing here is to create this community of practices and communities of to create this better world for tomorrow. So I don't know if any other consideration to close.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ananta. We will see.
Muchísimas gracias.
We will keep working together for the forum in October.
Yeah, the journey continues.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. It was a great meeting. Thank you, Fabio. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, then. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, okay, we can close the seminar. Thank you very much to Reza, which is behind in the backstage of the Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Fabio. Thank you, everybody. Gracias mucho. And the recording will be available from tomorrow, and the live was available on the website, but from tomorrow we will edit the video and we will upload it on the website. You just can go to the past webinars and see it, including your profiles and PowerPoint and all the material that you had it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Fabio, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for the wonderful afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
See you next time. Bye.